Hello, everybody. I'm Lisa Shield.
I'm Benjamin Shield.
And this is Getting Inside the Right Male Mind. Thank you so much to all of the feedback we've been getting from our listeners. We can't thank you enough. It's been a little bit shocking, actually, that so many people are loving our podcast and that they're tuning in and that they're telling their friends. I'm even shocked to find out that many of my girlfriends listen to this and they listen to it with their husbands and boyfriends. So please turn your friends and your husbands and your boyfriends onto this, because we feel like it's a very, very important conversation that Benjamin and I are having on these podcasts. So today we're going to talk about something that is deeply personal to me. And I think many, many, many women today, single women especially, will relate to what we're going to talk about. So the subject of today's conversation is taking the female lead. So many of the dating books and articles and things that we read talk about how women are supposed to lean back and wait for the man to chase them and do nothing.
Right.
And in some ways, there's so many things that are just wrong with that conversation. Look, I know a lot of men will even tell women, right, that they want to do all the chasing. A lot of male coaches say that. In fact, you just have been reading John Gray's book. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, I think he emphasizes that the woman should just lean back and wait for the man to do everything, all the pursuing. And it's so one-sided. Mm-hmm. And, men really love when a woman reaches out to them. First, a man is often afraid of rejection. Mm-hmm. So when a woman leans in rather than leans back, he has the confidence to ask her out and keep going. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's hot. That's really, a guy needs that feedback. He needs that encouragement and that receptivity in order to want to do more, right?
Yeah. If a woman leans back too far, waiting for the man feels like he's just, like trying to communicate into the desert. There's no feedback, there's no interaction, and there's no juice to the relationship. Even if it's a beginning relationship. Yeah,
I think that a lot of women today, when what they hear is lean back, don't do anything, sit on your hands. And for a lot of successful women like me who are educated and independent, when I hear things like that, even today, and when I heard them when I was younger, I felt like it was an insult to me that I couldn't do that I was supposed to just sit there like a target or something, right. Like a sitting duck and wait for a guy to come after me.
Yeah. Yeah. Men need that interaction. Men, it feels like an imposition for a man to keep pursuing and chasing when there's no feedback, when there's no positive reinforcement coming back, that he's just reaching out and nothing coming back. It gets exhausting.
Well, and I think one of the dangers with that behavior, it is if you really stop and think about it, what you're putting out is what you're going to create in the relationship that you attract. Yeah. So it will attract a certain kind of man, right? If a woman just sits there and does nothing, or if she leans back, men are good. It's going to attract the wrong men. It's going to attract avoidant men,
the controlling men,
narcissistic men, because the women are just waiting for the guy to do everything. And then the good guys like you, if I hadn't been responsive in the way that I was and reached back out to you and, was reciprocal and excited, gosh, I can't even imagine not sending you a text the day after a fabulous date and just saying, oh my God, that was wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing you again. I couldn't even imagine sitting there and not doing that with a guy. But what happens, I think, in a lot of cases is women are hearing two messages. They're hearing, don't chase men, don't lean back, let a man pursue you. But I think they're also here that speaks into their neediness and their fear of looking desperate. And so it's almost licensed to these women to do nothing. And what some women do is they have this inner dialogue where it's like, I'm just, I'm entitled. I just want a man who chases me. I'm not going to pursue. If something gets off the rails, it's up to him to come back and put it back together. If he really wants to pursue me and he's into me, he'll do that.
Right. I think it's easy for a woman to create stories about
Yeah.
what's happening even before the first date. Like, he made a date for Saturday and it's already Wednesday. I haven't heard from him again to
He's
confirm.
not pursuing me.
Yeah. And so it begins to turn and the man has no idea
Yeah.
about this. What a man is looking for in a date, even before the first date, is a woman that he feels he's going to have fun with, that is going to be communicative, that he doesn't have to jump through hoops. I think that many single men have had relationships where it's just been drudgery. It's been, they've had to do all the work and it's been exhausting. It's why they're single now, because those relationships haven't lasted.
Right. They'll get the guy. It may even bring the guy in, but then a lot of times women start to develop this kind of entitlement that the guy is just supposed to chase me and romance me and plan dates and take me out and do everything. And there's no reciprocity. And then two people drift apart.
Yeah. And I think for both the man and the woman, I think the best word in the world is gratitude. And the worst word,
I know you like that word.
is entitlement. It's, we're looking for partnership. We're looking for equals. We're looking for someone to travel down the journey of life together. And if it feels like, it's going to be work that entire journey, it's not worth it. It's not worth the first date or the second date.
So what are things that women can do? Like, I don't know. I just think this whole idea of leaning back and doing nothing. But when we're taking the female lead, can you talk a little bit about what that is and what it does for you? Because we have some great examples from our clients.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, for me, it would be, if I reached out for a date and just someone maybe 2 days later saying, I'm so excited about our date, on Saturday night. I can't wait to meet you in person.
So that would be okay. That would be cool for you. Like if you and I, or if you were dating a woman, thank God you're not, but if you were, and you had planned a date and she wrote to you or texted you and said, I'm excited about our date. I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, I'd be so excited. Before the date, I'd be maybe trying on 3 different shirts and, doing the pinch test to,
Would you really?
Yeah, because it would because I know this woman is interested in me. I'm so excited, as opposed to just going into a cold call and, someone's sitting there and you're really not sure if she's into you or not. But if there's even that hint that she's into you, you're, as a man, I'd be looking forward to, just sitting across from her that evening.
And that wouldn't make you uncomfortable. Like so many books say, that guys feel pressured or it makes a guy think that you're in a hurry and that you're, needy or desperate if you do things like that. Like these are the things that women are being told. And those are the messages that they're internalizing about feedback like you just gave.
Yeah, it's so unfair, the information that is out there.
Unfair how, honey?
Well, it's unfair because it's putting on a natural roles, a natural behaviors. It's natural for if a woman is feeling excited by a date, a man would love to hear it. It's like, or if she's excited after a date, he would love to hear that. And if there are rules and obligations and behaviors that's saying don't contact the man after the date, let him contact you. Well, a man may be waiting by the phone, his iPhone or computer as much as the woman is. And if he doesn't get any feedback, he may think, well, she's just not that into me, and move on.
And what about the women that would say, well, a real man would pursue me. He'd write to me and ask me out again and say, what a great date. And why should I do that?
Well,
isn't that going to make me look needy?
Well, a real man would reach out and say, and it would be lovely to have that reciprocal behavior, for a woman to reach out and say, I had a great day too, or, like, I was thinking about you, how wonderful, I'm still in the glow of the date. I just wanted to let you know. And the man will write back like within seconds of receiving that.
And what kind of guy do you think that's going to attract?
When a woman reaches out?
Yeah, like when a woman, I know the funniest thing is not once in our relationship did I ever stop in the earliest stages. I never worried or had a second thought about reaching out to you, about being myself. And I would always bring it back to, what is attractive behavior and what would an adult do? Like if this man were my dear friend and, we went out, I would write to him and say, gosh, I had such a good time. So why would I do any differently with a man that I went on a date with?
It's true. It's true. And how you and I behaved in dating continued for the next 20 years in our relationship.
Yeah.
You're always, if we have a great dinner, the next day you say, yes, honey, I had the best time. I had such a great time. Or I would say that first, but it's so wonderful for two people to share the warmth of an experience together.
Yeah. And
or anticipation.
Mm-hmm. But it's so crazy. I think it's so crazy why we're given these messages that are just ridiculous. Like, I'm an intelligent, educated, modern woman. Like, I worked very, very hard not to have a relationship have to behave like my mother or my grandmother. Right. I don't want to be like them. They had, my grandmother had a great relationship, wonderful. Mm-hmm. But my mother, it was wretched. Mm-hmm. I don't, why have women come so far? I think what so many people miss when we talk about taking the feminine lead, it's learning how to play with masculine and feminine energy. Yes. So we don't have our women lead in the same way that we do, like a man would lead. It's a different way of leading, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah, because when a woman reaches out, she's mirroring back a man's masculinity. Mm-hmm. She's saying, wow, I'm really looking forward to seeing you. Or I had a wonderful time with you last evening. Uh-huh. And a man just lights up and it mirrors back his masculinity. He just feels, but if there's nothing, particularly if a man says, I had a wonderful time last night and nothing is coming back, it's just like vacuous. It's just like he's just waiting and then thinking, well, I can't please this woman.
The other thing I think that was in that same book we were talking about was that author, I haven't read it, so I'm not speaking from my own personal, but from what someone else said, that he tells women not to talk about you, but to say, oh, this is a lovely restaurant, or that was a great meal. But not, oh, you chose such a great restaurant, or you chose such a great meal, which I didn't understand that either.
No, because, we, as a man, we want reinforcement. We want, someone to say, you did good, and it's no different from when we were kids to when we're adults. We want, someone to say, you did good. I really appreciate what you did.
Yeah, that was really weird to me. But the truth is, well, the two most beautiful words in the English language are our name, or the ones that we listen for are our own name and the word you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Those are the two that grab our attention. When somebody says our name or says you ... I mean, that pulls you right in.
Absolutely.
I don't know. It's just there's so much wild dating advice out there. But for us, we started to play with masculine, feminine energy very early on in our relationship, like from the beginning.
Yeah. And it wasn't even overt flirtation.
No.
It was just, like when I went on a date with you, I went home feeling more of a man.
Aww.
Like I did great. I picked the right restaurant.
I picked the restaurant.
The first date you did. But since then.
I'm just playing with you. Yes, you picked great. You were amazing. And you were so generous with me. I mean, it was so lovely.
But it was fun for me to be generous because you appreciated it. And you immediately said, oh, thank you, this is wonderful, or you shouldn't have, or I so appreciate it, or this means so much to me. That lights a man up.
Yeah. And I want to go back to the feminine lead because I think this is so important for women to understand. There's a very specific way that we teach our clients to language things, and it's what we call the feminine lead. So a woman would not wouldn't say, let's go have coffee. What a woman might say is, I bet if you asked me for coffee, I would say yes. So what we're doing is we're empowering a man through this sort of reverse psychology, right? Or I don't know what you'd call it, but we drop the ball in his court. We plant the seeds and we put the suggestion out there.
Drop a handkerchief.
Well, I don't know. Matthew Hussey uses that one.
Okay. Gotcha.
I'm going to do my own thing.
Okay.
But no, I'm playing, baby. But it's really, it's about being able to put the ball in his court and let him make the choice. Men by nature just have a built-in switch that when women tell them what to do, they just turn off. And it's not because there's anything wrong with you saying what you want to say or asking for something directly, but the person who did that with them and told them what to do was their mother.
Right.
And so anything we can avoid, any way we can avoid sounding like a man's mother is a good thing.
Yeah. And a man still wants to lead. There's such a thing as a female lead, but also a masculine lead. And the two when the two play together, it is so hot.
Well, and what the female lead is about is encouraging the man to lead. So that's really, the female lead is all about encouraging the man to take the lead. So we're leading him, we're coaxing him, right, into doing something. So getting him on a Zoom call or a phone call, or putting that out there that if you asked me on a date, I'd probably say yes. Why don't you give it a try? Right? Try me. And sitting back, and then you can sit back and see. But one of the things we talk about a lot with the women in my 12-week Emotionally Naked Dating coaching program. This is an amazing program, by the way. It shows you, I could, it's the hardest thing in the world for me or for us to talk about our program because we run it But I just created it. Benjamin joined me during the pandemic. But what's extraordinary is we sit back and we get to watch women transform their lives. And it's magical. It's just magical to see women come into our program and they are hating dating. They're ready to give up, not just on dating, but on love. Every time you give up, all you do is you throw away more time that you could be spending with the guardian of your soul. That's what you do. So Benjamin and I, one of the main things that we talk about with our women is how to language things, how to express their needs and wants and desires to a man without sounding needy or desperate or angry or shaming or insecure. And one of the big issues that comes up that we see all the time is that so many women are afraid to take the feminine lead because they don't know how. And by not doing that, they are missing out on so many opportunities because men need that feedback. They need it. And so the best men like Benjamin, I think women don't realize that there's all kinds of men out there, and who they're being has everything to do with what they're going to attract, the dynamic, but their behavior is attracting the man and setting the tone for the relationship that will be formed.
Right, and bringing out the best in the man. Not just attracting a good man, but bringing out the best in a man.
Well, and attracting good men to begin with, not players, not narcissists, not love bombers. That kind of lean back and sit on your hands and let a man chase you. That's exactly the kind of behavior that avoidance and love bombers are totally attracted to, because they're doing all the work and you're just doing nothing, and they're bombing you and they're putting you in the limelight. You are a target for those guys if you show up that way.
Yeah, not a companion, but a target.
A target. Yeah. It's a magnet for it.
Yeah.
The women who are kind and confident and take the feminine lead and really do see good men and know what to look for in a good man are going to go nuts when they start to attract these guys. So let's talk about a couple of clients.
Please.
Okay. We have a woman we have two women. So when the women complete my 12-week course, they have the option of going into a 6-month course or a year-long program. The year-long program is where they work directly with Benjamin and me. All of their coaching is done with us, all of their one-on-one sessions. I mean, it's really remarkable, and we get to monitor their progress. And so we have a beautiful and wildly successful client. Stunning, inside and out. I mean, this woman she's done so much work on herself, and she is so lovely. But the one thing that she wasn't able to do was find the guardian of her soul. And she wants this more than anything in the world. And she has met a man. She realized in her work with us that she's anxious, and she thought she was avoidant, that she would, just find something wrong with every man and push him away. But once she really started getting deeper and, really unraveling this, she realized that she's actually quite anxious when she really likes a man. And so with our very close and intimate guidance, we have been teaching her how to take the female lead. And she met a wonderful man. They've been dating. And I think they've gone on 4 dates, 5 dates?
Maybe 5.
And she came on a Q&A call with us, and she wanted to, there was something that was really, really hard for her to navigate. She was really scared because she has a need to have more contact from him. She wanted more texts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she was really worried that it was making her anxious. And she, it wasn't just that she was anxious about asking him, but it was making her anxious that she didn't know how to ask him or if it was even okay to ask him. And so she was sort of judging her feelings and then making herself even more anxious for even wanting more connection. So if you can all, I'm sure so many of you can relate to that. And so with our help, what did we tell her to do, babe?
You go ahead.
All right. I didn't want to hog the mic here. So we, on one of our group calls, she brought this up and we talked about exactly what she needed to say to this man and how to say it. And here is this very high-powered woman. She runs her own company. I don't even know. She's got a team of many people and an even bigger clientele. I mean, she's just something else. And it was the sweetest thing in the world because she really likes this man. And if you heard her talk about him, it is adorable, adorable to see this super high-powered businesswoman just gushing over this guy. So we said to her, it's very simple. What you need to do is first put a frame around this conversation and let him know that you're feeling vulnerable, that this is something that is really vulnerable for you, to ask this favor of him. And then to say in a very positive way, you know what I would love? I would love it if you would send, if you happen to be thinking about me, if you would just send me a text.
Yeah. And a man wants to please a woman. He wants the information just to, how can I make her happy? And a simple request like that, he'll just light up.
To the right man.
To the right man.
Yeah. To a man who really is wanting to pursue you.
Right. And he'll just light up saying, great, I want to make her happy. I'm going to send more texts. It's nothing. It'll just take a few minutes extra out of the day. And he knows that when he does that, it's going to be immediately received in a positive way.
He'll get points.
Yeah, and he'll picture her lighting up when he reads her text.
Yeah. So she did this. She said to him, there was a little bit more to it. But she said to him, following our languaging, this is, it's really hard. There's something I'd love to ask of you. And this is very hard for me to do. It feels very vulnerable. How, and one of the things that we had said, is I just light up when I see your texts. It makes my day. Yeah. And I just wanted to let you know that it's never an intrusion. If, you happen to be thinking about me, I would love to get a text from you. And he said, she said, I don't know your texting style, but, if that's something you would be open to doing, I would love that. And he said to her, oh, well, I actually prefer a phone call.
Yeah.
And she was adorable. She just said, oh, I would love that. Sure enough, the next day he called her and they had a wonderful 30-minute conversation. And, she was over the moon. She was over the moon. And it wasn't even just that he called her and all, but even on a even bigger, a bigger scale, she was so happy that she could ask for something and actually get it from a man.
And she was leaning in.
And she was leaning in.
And it caused him to lean in. And on the phone call, her enthusiasm just lit him up.
Yeah.
And as opposed to being cool on the phone and leaning back and being two-dimensional, it was just this full, two people just playing and enjoying each other's company and being excited to speak with each other.
And being excited about getting to know each other.
Yeah.
I think one other thing she said to him was, I feel so connected to you when I'm on our dates. and I'm not feeling that same connection when we're apart. Now, that was really vulnerable to
Very.
say, because if that man didn't want to get closer to her, that would have been his sign to exit, because she literally said, I want to feel close and connected to you,
Yeah.
even when we're not on a date. So yeah, it was really, really, really beautiful. And so that is an example of taking the feminine lead. She didn't just sit back, and it was actually the fourth date, not the third date. So that was pretty early on. I want you to all hear this in the courting process. Another one of our clients who very early on took a wonderful risk. She is also in our mastermind group, and she is the cutest thing I think I
right.
have ever seen in my life, next to my Shar-Pei, which I am head over heels with. This woman, we melt every time she comes on a
Right.
call, every time she speaks. She said to her guy, they're both from a very conservative culture background, and they've both lived in the U.S. for quite a while, but they were born in another country. And she said to this man, I think on their third date or something, it was very early on, she said to him, do you like to hold hands? And he said, I do. And she said, would you like to hold my hand? And he said, I would. And then he held her hand and he kissed her. And these are two people. He later told us on one of our group calls that he would have never done this. Like, it would have taken him 5 months to do that. And when we were talking with him, he said, she led this whole thing. He said, I was on board, but I was following her lead. Yeah. And this man is no slouch, like by any stretch of the imagination. He is super masculine and incredibly successful and a wonderful father. Just everything about him is wonderful. And he wasn't following her lead because he was weak. He was following her lead. He was listening to her and taking his cues from her because he liked her and he really did want to get closer to her. So he welcomed those invitations to move forward.
Yeah. And he may have been afraid of moving too quickly.
Yeah.
And getting rebuked and turning her off.
Yeah.
And he would feel ashamed. And shame is probably the worst thing a man could feel. Shame from that kind of rejection in particular. And so he welcomed the invitation. And another thing about this lovely woman is her smile. And that she smiles and it just makes a man feel great, because if a woman is on a Zoom call or on an in-person date and she has this wonderful smile, he's just like, oh my gosh, she's enjoying my company, she's enjoying the evening, she's enjoying the choices I made for the evening. All of that, it's just, it warms a man's heart.
Aw.
Yeah.
I love hearing you talk about this, honey, because I know how fortunate you and I are, and how much we mirror that love and that back to each other and gratitude. And it makes me so happy to hear you say these things, because I know they're all built in to the foundation of our relationship. I just think, people will say, I don't play games and I don't, I'm authentic. And we think we're being authentic, but getting close to another person, opening up our hearts, getting emotionally naked, which is the name of my course. It's so scary to do that. It is so scary And we don't know every time we take a little risk or a big risk to create intimacy with somebody that we're attracted to, if that person's going to accept our invitation or reject our invitation.
Yeah.
And it's scary, it's painful. And I think it's easier to listen to advice like lean back and let a man chase you,
Or the rules.
or the rules, or, I just read this, another thing I just can't stand is, some of this sort of, this is masculine behavior and this is feminine behavior. And, we can rethink these things. We're in 2022. And you can say, well, these are traditional values and all, but we can blend those traditional values in with real common sense about relationships. I mean, first and foremost, above and beyond anything, I wanted a deep, emotionally naked friendship with you.
Yeah.
And that's really the number one thing I was looking to establish, not that you chase me or that, I'm the feminine and you're the masculine and,
Right. There's no friendship that develops from that. And any wonderful relationship is built on the foundation of friendship.
Well, and emotional nakedness.
And emotional nakedness. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really an emotionally naked friendship.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Yeah.
foundation. I mean, that's what's been, these last 20 years have been so much fun because, you're my best friend in the whole world.
And when a man receives, like, a woman who is excited to be on a phone call, he's excited to talk. And I think many women feel that, well, he just doesn't talk about himself, or he doesn't share. He's not a good communicator. And it's often because the woman, there's nothing to communicate to, because she's leaning back so far that he doesn't feel comfortable communicating. He's worried that something won't be received and responded to, and he's just, like, talking and sharing himself, and eventually he stops. Mm-hmm. Or he tries once or twice and then realizes, this is going nowhere. I don't leave feeling the date better about myself and better about, being with this person.
Well, and I think a lot of men just go, God, this is going to be work.
Yeah.
This is going to be work. And that's the last thing a guy is looking for, or a great guy is looking for in a relationship.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to work that hard. He wants reciprocity. He wants it to flow, that there's give and take and back and forth. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think about how many women just have so many rules. In fact, when you think about, like, the rules, it's just so awful. It is so awful, that a woman would carry that into a relationship. I mean, it just feels horrible.
It's almost like two people are playing a game and one person doesn't even know the rules.
Right.
He's just like, what? What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong?
Yeah.
And many men wind up saying in a relationship, I'm sorry, more than saying, I love you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. God, that must be so painful.
Very.
Whoa. I can't even imagine. And it's really, really, really hard for a guy who's trying over and over and over again just to prove himself and to be in her good graces, and then it just feels like you're trying to get a foothold and you can't make these women happy. And so much of this comes from these ridiculous rules and this bad dating advice. Wow. Well, I love this idea of taking the feminine lead, and I feel like that's where the fun is. I feel like it's going to attract the best men. Mm-hmm. I feel like there are, well, in my experience, you're the most romantic guy in the world. I didn't sacrifice anything. You're hot, you're romantic, you're fun as hell. You're the smartest, funniest guy I've ever met in my whole life, and I didn't lean back for a second.
No, and I didn't feel that you were pressuring. I just felt that it was two people having fun together and enjoying each other's company and giving each other feedback of how much we like each other.
And we had so much fun liking each other.
And we haven't stopped that in these last 2 decades.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And I think from the very beginning, because we really were building that friendship and we were so authentic with each other, and we didn't hold back, we just had fun from the get-go. It just has created so much emotional safety, right? Like, I mean, we can say, people will say, oh, well, I can say anything to him. And, yeah, you can't see he's raising an eyebrow on this side. Yeah, but we really can say anything to each other. Right. In fact, we do. Mm-hmm. We don't hold on to things. Yeah. We don't bury our feelings. The minute something happens, we will say, hey.
Yeah. And then we don't even remember it after.
No, because we let it go.
We just let it go.
Yeah, because you'll say something or I'll say something, and then we'll go, oh my gosh, I didn't, thank you for telling me.
Exactly. We put our hands together and say, thank you. Mm-hmm. That's great information. I'm sorry, or I'll know better, or this is, thank you.
Yeah, or I didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me know how it landed or didn't land. Yeah. No, I think it's so important that this is a dance. This is a dance, and it's not like there's a leader and a follower. Mm-hmm. There really are two leaders. They're leading together, but there's a flow. It's more, really when I think of it, I like the Tai Chi of relationship. Mm-hmm. I like to think of it more as Tai Chi.
That's a beautiful way of looking at it.
And that's really what taking the feminine lead is all about. It's this. It's this. It's you're really doing this beautiful flow together. And and 1 minute, one person might be, the one that's guiding it. And then in the next moment, it might be the other person that's guiding it. But you're both willing to surrender and, and yield, and then take, take the lead. Yeah. That's what I'd like to say. All right, babe. We got a lunch to go to. So we're going to meet one of my amazing clients who actually lives in Albuquerque. So she's coming down, and we're going to go to this lovely restaurant right up the road called Bishop's Lodge. Mm-hmm. And Benjamin's going to get to hang out with two beautiful women.
Absolutely.
All
it's
right.
a good day.
This is a great day. All right, everybody. I am Lisa Shield, and this is my husband, Benjamin Shield. And thank you so much. Thank you for all your love and support and all your terrific feedback. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to my podcast, my YouTube channel. You can find me on Spotify, Apple, Audible, or anywhere you get your podcasts. You can go to my YouTube channel. And finally, if you want to watch my 45-minute presentation, many women have told me that it was a game changer for them. Then please go to lisashield.com, and you can find the link there. And please also look out for my new website. We are going to be debuting.
Beautiful.
Really, this website has been a year in the making. I have no idea why, but one of my dreams has been to have a website that I just really poured my heart and soul into. And there's just so many beautiful photos of my husband and me and some of our clients who have found love. You can find beautiful live testimonials, video testimonials from many of them, and images of our retreats. And
And it's the same website address as they could find you now, lisashield.com.
lisashield.com. And if you have any questions or you want us to talk about something specific on one of these podcasts, then you can send me an email, and that would be DWD, which is Dating Without Drama. So DWDpod@lisashield.com. This has been wonderful. Baby, thank you for spending part of your day with me. And I love you. You have a beautiful mind.
Thank you, sweetie.
All right. Love to everybody. And please tell your friends and your boyfriends and your husbands and your girlfriends about us. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.